Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing the Clinique Stay-Matte Oil-Free Makeup. I bought this a couple of weeks ago and I've been desperate to open it because I'm trying to find a replacement for my other foundation. I have been using the Clinique Anti-Blemish Solutions foundation for as long as I can remember, and I've not been loving it as much recently. It's got sort of medium to light coverage and I always look for something a bit more on the heavy side. So I picked this up, and what first attracted me to it is the fact it is oil free. I am very oily and my skin is uber sensitive, so it's going to be impossible for me to give you a review on this straight away. So I am going to put this on all over my face, go away and come back and let you know in a few hours how it has been on my face, what has happened. So a few details first. This is for people who have oily skin. It's got an SPF of 10, which is really good. That is a bonus. And it's got a natural to matte finish. First impressions packaging wise, it looks cheap, to be honest. This cost me, I think this was £22.50, and it looks like a high street or drugstore foundation. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this all over my face as I usually would. For this I'm going to use my Sigma F80 Kabuki brush, the flat top, and I'm going to buff it out with the sculpting brush from Real Techniques. Oh, and this is in the shade Alabaster? 02 anyway. First impressions, it's very runny. So I've just put that much on the back of my hand and I'm hoping that's going to go all over my face, but we shall see. I didn't bother with a primer or anything before applying this foundation. I rarely use primer. I only use it if I want my makeup to last all day and all night, otherwise, to be honest. First impressions, it doesn't have a smell to it, which I like because I don't understand. I think it's unnecessary to have foundation that is scented. I'm just going to apply a tiny bit more onto the back of my hand and I'll buff it out with the Real Techniques brush. Feels very, very light on the skin, which I love, but that often means that it's not full coverage. So I like to press the foundation into my skin. I usually do that because it makes the foundation last longer, and then I'll usually just go over and buff it in when I have done pressing. Yeah, you can definitely still see under the skin, so I would need to go over this with a concealer and all of that jazz, but that's what I'd usually do anyway, so. Okay, my foundation is done. I'm just going to hop off the camera and come back when the rest of my face is done. Hey, so I am back. I have just done a whole face of makeup as I usually would. So I am going to come back in probably about 4 or 5 hours. So I will see you soon. Hey again, so my foundation has been on for about 4 or 5 hours now, and it actually feels really good on the skin. I took the steps that I would usually take when I finished filming the first bit of just doing my daily sort of makeup routine, and it was fine, but I looked closely up to about here. Let me zoom you in. I looked at my skin really closely here, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's like caked up. I don't know if it's the powder that I mix it with, or maybe the blusher or the highlight that it didn't like, but that left me feeling a bit disappointed because I'm not going to just use that foundation and put nothing on top. Foundation is a base, so I am going to be putting products on top of it. So if it cakes up, it really doesn't look great and it makes it look cheap. On the plus side though, my skin is almost impossible to control oil wise, and so far with this foundation I'm completely shine free. I am matte, there's no oil there, which of course I love. The texture is really light. I love that about it, because I hate it when you can feel foundation on your skin. I stopped using Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation for that reason. It felt so heavy and it felt like it was clogging up all of my pores. This doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's letting my skin breathe, and I don't think it's oxidized either. Basically some foundations oxidize, which makes it appear darker throughout the day. That's a no-no for me, because I am basically the lightest shade of foundation anyway, so I don't want to have to look like I've bought the wrong colour foundation, because that's what it does look like. As far as I'm aware, this hasn't oxidized at all. I just feel like overall this foundation is a lot of money for what you get. The packaging is really cheap, looks like a drugstore or high street foundation. It's very runny because the #1 ingredient is water, which I should have thought about before buying it. So it's a light coverage foundation. To be honest, it's not going to replace my anti-blemish solutions foundation for me, because if anything, I wanted more coverage, not less. I'd recommend this for someone maybe starting out in makeup for the first time. Maybe someone who doesn't want a full coverage but wants to stay matte. So for the final verdict, out of 10, I would have to give this, I'd say, a 6 or 7 out of 10. I'll go with a 7. I didn't like how it's caked up in areas of my face. Foundation never does that to me. It usually happens if you have dry skin, because it goes in the dry patches of your face. So I'm a little bit disappointed really. So I think 7 out of 10 is fair, because it has stayed matte. It's very light. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing foundation. So I think as long as you know what you're getting when you buy it, then that's fine. I think I'll finish there. All the information is going to be in my blog, so go check that out, and if you haven't checked it out, go check it out anyway. And please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And until next time, I will see you then. Bye!